What you're about to see is from Rebel Base, IGN's weekly Star Wars show.
So we're going to focus now on something that Lawrence Kasdan, the screenwriter, said in his interview with Vanity Fair. So obviously Vanity Fair has been going Star Wars mad recently. They've been revealing all sorts of characters. There was a giant cover feature on it.
Yeah.
And part of that...
They didn't want to go with us.
No. We reached out to them, but we're not a magazine because we are the future, not the past. And and Lawrence Kasdan gave an interview, and right at the end of the interview that they said, so obviously he was brought on, he wrote Empire Strikes Back, which, you know, one of my favorite characters in Empire Strikes Back. It's not Boba Fett, it's Lando Calrissian. I'm pointing at this guy, that's obviously not him, that's Leonard Calrissian, his cousin. But he's been brought back on to write episode 7, so people have gone, you know, you're well known for writing a little bit of Lando. Is he going to be in episode 7? He said he's absolutely not going to be in episode 7, but Lando, I don't think, is finished in any way, shape, or form, which for me, like, Lando is one of my favourite characters.
Why is he...
That really excites me.
Okay, let's jump on that. Why is he one of your favourite characters? Before we get on to what we want to see Lando do.
Because he has a lot, for a B character, he has like the coolest arc, I think. Like, he starts off, you meet this guy and he's a little bit offish, he wants them out of his life, and then you realise that he's actually screwed them over because he's been forced to by Darth Vader. So he gives up Han, but then Darth Vader changes the deal, takes everyone, and he feels bad, and I really like that because you sort of dislike him because he's gone against Han, but then you see him sort of redeem himself so many times because of that. He just definitely feels bad. So he helps C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewie, and Leia escape. Then he helps him rescue Luke as well, and all because he feels bad about it. And he's just this sort of like B character, and he gets this awesome little sort of like redemption arc.
It's funny you say that. So one of the Lando things we know is definitely happening, and we'll get on to some speculation in a minute, but one thing we know is happening, I think they announced it around the time of Star Wars Celebration. Marvel said they're going to do a new Lando comic, a comic just about Lando, which is really cool. And they're really bringing in some A-list talent. They've got Charles Soule, who you know from like Death of Wolverine and She-Hulk, and Alex Maleev, who I know really well from doing Bendis' run on Daredevil. And it's coming out in July. And Charles Soule is a huge Star Wars fan, and they asked him what was about Lando, and it kind of echoes what you were saying. He says, what I like about him is he gets his hero's journey of his own in the 3 movies. When we first see him in The Empire Strikes Back, he's not exactly a shining knight. He sells his friends out to the Empire. Now, it's all somewhat understandable, and he does his best to make things right, but still, he's no Luke Skywalker. By the end of Return of the Jedi, he's put it all behind him. He's finally picked a side, and you know what? Let's not forget this. He ends up destroying the second Death Star. Which is pretty awesome. And then he goes, he condenses it all. He goes, I could have skipped all that explanation and give you a 2-word answer that would be equally true. Lando's cool.
He is very cool. Look at that. Look at him. He's just cool.
That's the rest of the show. Look at him.
Look at that.
Look at him.
Look at that. Look at him.
But Saul talks also about how, like, as an archetype, not just using him, he's a bit like a gambler.
Okay.
He kind of has this, like, you know, movable morality. But still ultimately good, and he's worth taking risks, which makes him a great character to write. I think that Marvel series is kind of talking a bit about follow him he's lost the Falcon, and it's pre-Empire, and he's on his own journey, and he's got heist-like elements where he's assembling a squad. So we definitely know the Marvel comic is happening, it's coming out in July.
Well, it's interesting you should say Gambler, because his episode of Rebels, Idiots Array, is one of my favourite episodes, because you hear this voice and instantly you know who it is. Like, Billy D. Williams has got a really distinctive voice, and you hear this voice, you know it's him straight away. And you see him betting with the Rebels over a game of Sabacc, and that's set before A New Hope. So I really like the idea that they could go back and fill in, you know, they're introducing him there, and they could go back and sort of fill him in a little bit. Okay,
so, you know, new world of Star Wars that we exist in now, post-Disney, everything's connected. I'm sure Lawrence Kasdan maybe is aware of the Marvel comics, but I doubt he's directly referring to Lando coming out in the comics. And, you know, we know there's anthology movies. I wonder if there's scope for Lando to return in those movies.
Definitely.
Maybe, you know, Rogue One, maybe his own movie, but that contradicts what you just say. Billy D. Williams has a really recognisable voice. But he's going to be 80 years old soon, or he already is.
He'll be 80 years old by the time episode 8 comes out.
Right, okay, so is it, if we go back, do we get in a situation where we might have to, if these anthology movies want to tackle key periods in the timeline and want to have some kind of, maybe not Luke, maybe not Han, but kind of supporting characters, we're going to have to recast them.
Yes, that is true.
What do you think about that, Gav?
I mean, as long as they got someone cool to do it, I have absolutely no problem with the recast of people. They're going to have to do it for anthology stuff. Like, I want young Han Solo to appear in the anthology movies. I want that to happen.
Do you really?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think it's quite fun, as long as the casting is good, and there's going to be fewer or whoever they cast.
Obviously, there's loads of characters they kind of can fudge it with, like Boba Fett, for instance, because you just keep him in the suit, and it doesn't really matter, and it maintains the illusion. But I think with certain characters, with the right casting, you could kind of go with.
Yeah, I think so. Like, and I just think he's such a cool character, and even though Billy Dee Williams does embody that character so well, I wouldn't have a problem as long as it was someone that I really liked.
Okay,
but
cool.
I mean, I love that. I mean, the fact that Lawrence Kasdan has said, and he's written, this is another thing that I was thinking. So the fact that he said that they're not finished with Lando in any way, shape, or form, could that mean? I know we're talking about a lot about people being related in this episode, but John Boyega is front and center. Just because he's black, I'm not saying that he has to be related to Lando, but it'd be very cool if he was, right?
Yeah, and I guess that it's supposed to be a legacy. So I wonder how closely all these characters. Again, we were talking. Is it just a bit too cute to play the family relations card?
Yeah,
and maybe we're reading it in too much. But it'd be a great kind of double bluff if everyone's expecting it to be like a Skywalker child, and it actually, if they've got kind of plans out. I think if it was just taken alone, and Lando was a big part in Episode 7, for a lot of people, it'd be like, where's that come from?
Yeah.
But if they have this bigger plan to like flesh out that character elsewhere in Marvel Comics and possibly in an anthology movie, it suddenly might make more sense.
Yeah, that definitely, Well, that's the thing. I think you've hit the thing on the head with Alex Malev said, Lando is cool, and there's not enough cool people in Star Wars, I don't think. Like, Luke's not a cool character, is he? Let's be honest.
Well, that's a bit harsh.
Well, no, but he's not a cool guy, is he?
He's got a robot arm. He's a Jedi. What do you want?
Well, it seems like we've hit a bit of a wall here, Daniel, so I'm going to wrap this thing up right now. Do you think Robot Luke is cool? Do you not? Do you think Lando's the coolest? I do. If you let us know, rebelbase@ign.com, or Daniel's going to cry, I think.
Unbelievable.